In New York City, two prominent Orthodox rabbis have taken an unusual step, issuing a rare and urgent warning to their congregations about the upcoming mayoral election. Their message, delivered during packed services, has sent ripples through the city's Jewish community, sparking intense conversations about safety, identity, and the role of politics in daily life. The rabbis specifically urge their followers to beware of mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, whose campaign has drawn both passionate support and deep concern. Their alarm isn't rooted in typical policy disagreements, but in Mamdani's refusal to condemn the controversial phrase, globalize the Intifada, as well as his public rejection of Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. These stances, the rabbis argue, go far beyond political debate. For many in the community, these positions cross a critical line, transforming what could be seen as legitimate political critique into rhetoric that feels deeply threatening. The distinction between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, already a source of tension, becomes even more blurred in this context, leaving many feeling vulnerable. The rabbis warn that when such views are voiced by someone seeking high office, they risk normalizing discrimination and emboldening those who might commit anti-Semitic acts. The memory of recent hate crimes in the city lingers, making these warnings feel especially urgent. Their message is clear: words from those in power matter deeply. Leaders can either protect a vulnerable community or, through their rhetoric, put it in greater danger. In a city as diverse as New York, the stakes of political speech have never felt higher. New York's warning is part of a broader, troubling trend that cannot be ignored. Anti-Semitism is rising across the US and worldwide, affecting communities in ways both visible and hidden. Hate crimes, from graffiti to violent assaults, have surged, making Jewish New Yorkers feel increasingly unsafe in their own neighborhoods and daily lives. On college campuses, Jewish students face intimidation and isolation for expressing their identity or support for Israel. This climate of fear erodes the sense of belonging and forces communities to turn inward for protection and safety. Anti-Semitism is never just a Jewish problem. History shows it signals deeper societal sickness and growing intolerance everywhere. When hatred is allowed to fester, it threatens the very foundations of a free and just society for all. Global conflicts, especially the Israeli-Palestinian struggle, often spark local repercussions for Jews worldwide. What happens thousands of miles away can ripple across continents, reaching into the daily lives of people who have no direct connection to the events themselves. The headlines may focus on distant battlefields, but the consequences are felt in neighborhoods, schools, and places of worship far from the front lines. When violence erupts in the Middle East, Jewish communities in places like New York face backlash, vandalism, boycotts, and collective blame. Acts of hate and intimidation often surge, leaving families and business owners to pick up the pieces. The sense of security that many take for granted can quickly vanish, replaced by anxiety and fear. Even international sports aren't immune. Indonesia recently barred Israeli athletes, sending a message of exclusion that reverberates far beyond the games. Such actions highlight how political tensions can spill over into arenas meant to unite people, turning opportunities for global connection into moments of division and alienation. These incidents reinforce the dangerous idea that Jews everywhere are responsible for the actions of a distant government. This collective blame fuels prejudice and misunderstanding, making it harder for communities to feel safe or understood. The line between political disagreement and personal animosity becomes dangerously blurred. For Jewish communities, this means living with the constant threat that faraway events can instantly endanger their safety at home. Everyday routines are shadowed by the possibility of hostility, and extra precautions become a part of normal life. The impact is not just physical, but emotional and psychological as well. The result is a state of perpetual vulnerability, where identity itself becomes a target. For many, simply being visibly Jewish can feel risky, as global tensions continue to shape local realities in profound and unsettling ways. In response to recent events, leaders and organizations are speaking out and demanding meaningful action from all sectors of society. Groups like Stop Antisemitism and the ADL are holding individuals and institutions accountable, exposing hate, and pushing for real lasting consequences. Their strategy is clear: make anti-Semitism socially and professionally unacceptable, so it finds no safe harbor. Yet, responses aren't always consistent. Some activism is criticized as performative, highlighting the ongoing challenge of distinguishing legitimate criticism from hate. The most effective efforts combine public condemnation with education, helping people recognize and confront bias before it takes root in communities. Combating anti-Semitism requires clear leadership, an active civil society, and everyday citizens willing to challenge prejudice wherever it appears. It's a shared responsibility, one that demands vigilance, courage, and action from all members of society. The fight against anti-Semitism hinges on two essential pillars: accountability and understanding. These are not just abstract concepts, but practical tools that shape how we respond to hate in our communities and beyond. Hateful acts must have real, tangible consequences, whether they occur in the workplace, on a university campus, or on the global stage. Only by holding individuals and groups responsible can we deter future incidents and send a clear message that discrimination will not be tolerated. Institutions must adopt a zero-tolerance approach, and international bodies must respond forcefully to all forms of discrimination, including actions like barring athletes based on nationality or faith. Policies must be enforced consistently to create real change. But accountability alone isn't enough. Education is equally vital. Without understanding, efforts to combat hate can fall short. Teaching the history and evolving forms of anti-Semitism and fostering nuanced conversations about complex issues builds empathy and resilience. When people learn about the roots and impact of hate, they are better equipped to challenge it. Standing against anti-Semitism is everyone's task. Speaking up, supporting neighbors, and modeling respect in everyday life. Small actions can have a big impact. Each of us has the power to reject hate and help build a world where all can live with dignity and peace. By working together, we can create communities rooted in understanding, compassion, and justice for all.